on Initiative Africa. My name is Asha Sampath. Welcome to this new edition of your weekly magazine featuring Africa on the move through smart innovations and initiatives that work. Let's get on with the show with our top stories today. Our guest this week again is Marilyn Douala Bell, an African princess who has become a development economist and who chose to return to Cameroon to promote arts and culture in Douala. Many hurdles along the way to finally harness the power of artistic expression in a complex and tormented country. She's our guest this week again.
A city is a space in which there are energies, there are dynamics, there are centers of activity that are moving, that are popping up, especially in the city of Douala.
How does ancient African art continue to influence contemporary creation? The question arises in artistic circles.
I'm fully aware of the concept of the end of primitivism, the end of an idea from the world of art, essentially a world of European and American art.
Living in cities, but with art in the spotlight, that's the promise of street artists in Accra.
The murals you see as part of the urban design work to beautify the city. You know, it's sort of having posters, sometimes defacing.
The recent craze for contemporary African art around the world has accompanied the growing success of exhibitions and specialized art galleries, whether in Europe, the United States, or in the major metropolises of the continent. But looking at the recent exhibitions, this buying fever has also opened up a central debate among artists and experts. What place does ancient African art really occupy in the works of today? Our journalist Lionel Cauchois was interested in this artistic dialogue between the ancient and the contemporary. Take a look. While it was reduced to a plastic model by the Western artistic avant-garde of the early 20th century, the perception of traditional African art has changed with time and also with knowledge. This year in Paris, the Musée du Quai Branly Jacques Chirac and its Ex-Africa exhibition looked into the question by giving the opportunity to 34 artists from the current contemporary scene to revive this ancient art with a strong idea, denounce a primitive vision of African art.
The first thing is to reject the idea of African art being primitive, and which would only reflect the avant-garde history, what we call primitivism. It is quite clear what the word primitive means to understand what is wrong. Secondly, show how the ancient arts of Africa were swept up in a kind of consumerism movement and considered as pleasant decorative objects that could be reproduced. With a very lucrative counterfeit industry which is still going on today. And thirdly, how contemporary African and non-African artists embrace these forms to give them a purpose, a meaning, their own symbolism.
A connection between ancient African art and contemporary art, not just in the shapes and forms. The artists, through their artworks, have shaped the challenges of Africa today. This is the case of Beninese artist Romuald Hazume and his work named No Return.
Reviving the symbol of the sacred snake, the sacred python, using flip-flops and soles that were left by those who embarked on the beaches of Benin to try to get to Morocco and perhaps Europe.
Among the exhibiting artists, the Franco-Beninese Emo de Madeiros, showing a rather modern vision of traditional African art, with a series of works that immerse Africa in the digital era. Then, with Electro Fetish, a dematerialized version of the West African fetish art, the artist tries to create a connection, some kind of dialogue with the visitor. And the originality of the work is that it allows the visitors to make an offering using their mobile phones, and in exchange they receive a propitiatory message.
Je présente aussi l'installation qu'on voit derrière moi, qui est composée de...
I also present the installation that we see behind me, which is composed of tin cans, wooden or 3D printed statuettes,
de calebasse,
calabash, electronic chips, and LCD screens which show the symbols of Ifa, which is a divination and philosophical system more specific to West Africa, Nigeria and Benin.
Philosophique, je dirais même plus généralement, ouest-africain du Nigeria et du Bénin.
A creation that also humorously challenges the codes inherited from primitivism, a snub to preconceived ideas about the art from the continent.
Je suis très sensible à cette notion.
I'm fully aware of the concept of the end of primitivism, the end of an idea from the world of art, essentially a world of European and American art.
Un monde de l'art européen et américain. Et d'autre part, de montrer...
And on the other hand, displaying vitality and power in these new forms and concepts.
Et ces concepts aussi.
In the final part of the exhibition called Activation, the Franco-Senegalese photographer Alan B. questioned the future of Africa with a striking allegorical series on the rite of initiation.
Edification
is a series of 9 photos which represent each of the initiation rites of life. The common thread between these photos are these virtual reality helmets, which are here to symbolize the contemporary digital era that precisely skews the rites of initiation into life.
An artwork that also takes us on a more introspective journey. The artist invites Africa to take control of its destiny and draw its strength from its traditional culture.
These ancient statues from Africa are the guardians of Africa's cultural heritage. After having passed these rites of initiation into life, we realize that our identity resides in our hands. We are masters of our destiny, and it is up to us to choose what we will do with the time we have and the actions that we take.
Breaking down misconceptions, showing its extraordinary vitality on the contemporary scene, this exhibition has changed our perception on ancient African art, which regains its letters of nobility, an additional value and lever to help us better understand this contemporary art of the continent. Today in full swing, with sales which have been multiplied tenfold in only 2 years, both on the European and American markets. As I mentioned earlier, our guest Marilyn Douala Bell made the choice to return to Cameroon more than 30 years ago with her husband, art historian Didier Chob. The love of the city of Douala and of art in all its forms shaped the destiny of this exceptional couple. And today, Doual'art, the contemporary art center they co-founded, is a rare institution in Africa. Marilyn Douala Bell confided in our correspondent, Abubakar Munchili, about her mission.
Hello, Marilyn Douala Bell. How would you describe the close relationship between your contemporary art centre, Doual'art, and Douala the city itself?
Doual'art, the city of Douala, is activism, action, the insufflation of an artistic dynamic in the city of Douala. Doual'art. A city is a space in which there are energies, there are dynamics. There are centers of activity that are moving, that are popping up, especially in the city of Douala. A permanent hive of activity. I often say that it is a pop-up city. It is a mangrove town that is surrounded by, that was even pretty much born from, the mangrove. We can go to a place in the morning, and in the evening, we come back and it's not the same thing. It is a city that has genuine intrinsic energy, and the role that we have assigned to artists by intervening in the public sphere is to make us read, to make us discover these different energies of the city of Douala. And it is very important that the artists capture the urban dynamics, that they capture the energies, and as they work a lot with the invisible, making it visible, it is important that they help us, all of us who live in this city, to reveal a certain number of energies and finally to make statements about the city of Douala with feeling.
an artistic institution rooted in the city, so to speak.
We are very interested in all ways in which an artist will dialogue, incorporate words, thoughts, desires, sometimes frustrations of those who live here. When a piece of art is made for a neighborhood, it is not one day, one artist, he comes, he made his work of art in his studio, he takes it and he comes and puts it there. No, there is a whole conversation, and the piece is created according to the relationships that are established with the locals. This is why the locals genuinely appropriate this piece of art as their own and are very proud of it.
Do your projects always get a good reception?
Up until now, I believe we have had two issues. Doual'art was created in 1991, and the first work of public art that we registered in the space dates from 1993. Natural degradation no longer exists. Twice, no, once, a piece of art made of metal was vandalized. There was a particular moment when the metal started to sell, and so vandals cut up the pieces.
Talk to us about the controversy with the statue of New Liberty, now quite well known in Douala.
L'œuvre a fait du bruit.
It was extraordinary how much it was talked about, because we had thought that there would be cries of outrage, cries of horror in relation to the materials, in relation to the choice, to the aesthetic quality of this work that is not considered beautiful. It is strong, it is expressive, it is generous, but I do not believe that we can use the word beautiful. So we thought there would be a reaction about that, but no, the first reaction for a small part of the population is rejection. It's a handful of people who know how to shake things up. Often, the small end of the nail makes more noise than the harm itself. There was therefore this call on the one hand to destroy it, on the other hand to spill the blood of the artistic director Didier Schaub, while insulting me like a princess who does not defend the interests of her community. For what reason, and this was the heart of the debate that occurred, it is truly pop-up, the emergence of something unexpected. The artist is Bamileke. What is this princess and this monsieur who come here to put a Bamileke in the heart of a village, etc.? It was very interesting because I believe, unfortunately, there are no other occasions today. It was the first time, to my knowledge, that there was a public debate on the ethnic question in Cameroon. And that, for me, was extraordinary, because I believe that there is no problem that cannot be resolved through dialogue and discussion. The statement of what disturbs me against the statement of the other, and what disturbs him, provides a platform for meeting and dialogue. And La Nouvelle Liberté, the new freedom, the name of the piece, was at the origin of a real public debate, which in my opinion was a certain generation, has diffused a lot the fear of the other, has diffused a lot of the hatred of the other, etc. Unfortunately, it would take several new freedoms today for this public debate to continue, and for us not to be in the identity withdrawal in which we are today, and which is detrimental to the development, going back to my first years of study, to the development of a nation, to the development of a collectivity made up of different communities.
Welcome back to the second part of Initiative Africa. Let's remain in the world of art, more precisely urban or street art. As you already know, more than 1.3 billion Africans will live in urban areas in 2050. The place of art is becoming a real debate. Already, metropolises on the continent are smoothly adjusting to new aspirations that give pride of place to the creativity of local artists. Example in Accra, where a whole tradition of mural art, street art, has developed to accompany the development of the capital. This is a report by our journalists Georgie Bosaki and John Awotwi. The city of Accra, bustling with activity, is notorious for its persistent traffic jams. The cosmopolitan nature of this West African city means that it is constantly going through transformations. One such welcome transformation is the City Murals project, through which local artists are collaborating to beautify the bustling streets of Accra with vibrant murals of rich cultural and historical significance. These massive paintings are an initiative of the Creative Arts Council of Ghana, undertaken by over 50 professional artists who belong to the Ghana Association of Visual Artists and Accra.art, a Ghanaian creative network that promotes alternative art. The role of public space art with the aim of beautifying the city was identified over 30 years ago, when the Commissioner of Culture and Art, Dr. Ben Abdullah, spearheaded a project to immortalize the founding father of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, by creating the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum. Also, as part of the project, he used a young Ghanaian artist to create a relief for the facade of the Kwame Nkrumah Library Museum with works of Wiz Kudowo.
The whole project was about Kwame Nkrumah, and Kwame Nkrumah was about Africa. And then Kwame Nkrumah was married to an Egyptian. There's so much that went into the thinking that went into that. You know, he was married to an Egyptian, Kwame Nkrumah, and Egypt kind of represented the cradle of African civilization at the time. So I thought that that was a good theme to develop this relief around. So I went ahead and put together the design that reflected all this.
Today, renowned painters of Ghana are putting expressive art into public spaces, using the concrete facades of the various overpasses around Accra as their canvas. One such overpass is the Akko-Ajay interchange along the principal road leading to Accra Central, which also crosses the Nkrumah Circle on the Ring Road to the coastal part of Accra. The paintings center on traditional culture and historical portraits. One such portrait is that of Ebezina Akko-Ajay, a former Minister of Justice, statesman, politician, lawyer, journalist, and founding member of the United Gold Coast Convention, the first political party of Ghana.
The murals you see as part of the urban design work to beautify the city. You know, instead of having posters, sometimes defacing most of under the bridges and concrete works in town. Rather, we should have paintings that serve as part of the beautification of the city. So it's part of the city works. In fact, we call it public art, and the public art could be mural, like the paintings you see, can be sculptures like Dr. Buzier's sculpture 37, you know, or Kintakiteria sculpture around the Rollins Park area.
People who cross the area are amazed by the freshness that these vibrant artwork bring to these public spaces.
It's nice, actually it's nice. And this act will help us to see the young ones that have talent, that they don't have people to support them. So this will show what they have within them. Maybe some of them have finished university and they don't have job, but exhibiting this talent around will just help us to know that this person has this type of talent, so that we can just help the person out to expose it out, big one.
This one is a storytelling. You can tell a lot of stories for at least our fathers and our grandfathers can tell us more about this, because we are young guys now before we are coming. So we can't tell more stories about it unless we went and asked them. Then they can tell us more stories about it. Because every artwork of this is a meaning of it. So it's very beautiful.
I personally will encourage the government to build a much more bigger museum whereby art could be displayed. By doing so, we are promoting the artistic industry. Each time I come here with my girls, actually they go to school here. Anytime I pick them from school, when I get here, I see the beauty of the art, very impressive.
The artists have also done some work at the Tete-Kwashi interchange to replace the concrete walls of the Tete-Kwashi overpass, which had previously been defaced with worn-out posters and other advertising material. Today, it boasts magnificent murals paying homage to female heroes such as the first female doctor Susan Ofroy-Atta, industrialist Esther Oklu, female lawyer Annie Jage, Ya Asantewa, woman warrior to fight the British, among others.
Accra is growing very fast. So everybody that is in Ghana thinks that when you come to Accra, you make it. So the city is expanding faster than we, the planners, can sit down and lay out the city. If the city is laid out properly, you know, then we can have hold on where we should put our murals and sculptures and all those things. But, you know, planning is always chasing development.
In Accra, traffic jams may just be an opportunity to take in these murals, which represent a memorial to the legacies of some of the most influential and remarkable figures of Ghanaian history. Let's get back to our guest Marilyn Douala Bell for this final part of her interview this week. She spoke to our reporter about Doual'art's mission to children and her conviction of the importance for young Africans to know their unvarnished history. Take a look.
You say you're advocating for young people to be at the centre of the art industry today. Why is this so important?
Il n'y a pas un pays qui réussit son développement.
There is not one country that succeeds in its development if it does not focus in particular on its youth. During our activities, we realized that we were mostly addressing an adult public. We were at the very beginning mainly addressing people who already had directly or indirectly a relationship with art, a handful of people once again.
Avec la question artistique, une poignée de personnes, encore une fois. Et
And in line with our Sud, Salon Urbain de Douala, or Urban Fair of Douala, the Salon Urbain de Douala is a triennial festival with a theme, and this theme is the subject of a whole series of activities over the 3 years, finishing with a big party at the end of the period. In the etymological sense of festival, it is a celebration, and so, during this process, over time, we realized that it was essential for us to address the youth.
Why this direct commitment?
First of all, because in schools until now, even though now this is starting to change a little bit, drawing free imagination is no longer taught. Singing is not taught, except in a few private schools. In public schools, where most students go, this idea of creation, of releasing one's creative energy does not exist. And this is something that we realize. And this is the reason why we started to organize visits to our exhibition with the students. And little by little, we realized that the students had trouble speaking. When we asked them to comment on the exhibition they had seen, They had trouble getting out the words and expressing themselves. And so, we thought that maybe it would be easier for them to draw. So we invited the children, school children, and also children from the neighborhood to express themselves through drawing. It is amazing what children can express with a drawing. Drawing is not the goal in itself. Drawing is only a means by which speed, as I said before, art is the bearer of speech. Art is a place of expression where we communicate things. Once the picture was drawn, we asked the children, "So what did you want to draw there? Explain it to us." And then they took the time to say, "I did this because of this, I chose that color there because of that, etc." They began to have the ability to freely express what they had wanted to convey through drawing. It is amazing.
Is the issue of free expression also key to the Doual'art project?
There is a battle that Doual'art has been waging for a few years, which is to say, whatever my geography of origin, whatever civilization I come from, I am talking about the bronze civilization that is in the West. I am talking about the wood civilization along the coastline. I am talking about this or that civilization, the terracotta civilization that is in the north. Whatever civilization we come from, we are all Cameroonian. We are inviting children in particular to get involved in this debate by expressing themselves through drawing. And to this end, we are circulating an exhibition in schools and neighborhoods that talk about the first 30 years of Cameroon. Cameroon was born in 1885. Specifically as of the signing of the German Douala Treaty that one of my ancestors, along with other chiefs and kings, signed with representatives of the German Empire.
So what makes these 30 years so crucial, and how does this exhibition promote your goals for youth development?
1885, 1916, the German leave. Cameroon was under the German protectorate. At that moment, the name of Cameroon was born. As a country, as a territory, 30 years in which the colonial presence, the protectorate, prohibited the birth of a nation, but allowed the birth of a territory. My ancestor, Marilyn Douala Bell, died to defend the idea of a nation. It could not be done. And so we try to give to all the people we meet, mainly young people in schools. We involve the teachers, especially of history, who do not really know this history through this exhibition and the conferences that we give in schools, and we invite the local youth in the context of this exhibition to choose a subject on which they will express themselves by drawing. Tell us what you understood and tell us what seemed important to you, and the return is impressive. We even rediscover history through the eyes of the children, and then with the words that they use to describe their drawing. I think we have formed the orators of 2050. I will no longer be there to appreciate it, but I truly pray that things will go that way.
Well, that's it. Initiative Africa is over for today. You can, of course, find Marilyn Douala Bell's interview and the replay of our programs on our news website, africaonair.com. And, of course, you can also find us on all our social media channels. Feel free to share, like, and comment with the hashtag Initiative Africa TV show. And don't forget, next week, same time, same channel, I'll see you again with a new edition of Business Africa. Have a great week, everyone. Goodbye.